Sorry, I just roll my eyes. Okay. Actually, here I am. That means this is almost the end. Yeah. Okay, I think our feelings are pretty complicated. A little bit sad, but a lot of happiness, I think. Alright, so this is what I'm going to share. This is my topic, enriching students' perspective through soft CLIL. Actually, I don't know did I do it right or wrong, but just share it with you all guys. And I'm too old to memorize all of my scripts, so I'm sorry. In case I forgot. Alright, so the first of all I want to talk about is there are 4 parts I'm going to share with you guys. One is motivation and the process and the reflections, and of course learning at SFU. And here you can see there are a lot we learned from SFU. So I'm really thankful for mentor teachers so generously shared their experience, theories, and the knowledge with us. So I really learned a lot. But actually a lot of things, so I was debating which one should I apply in the very beginning. And I also was debating between inviting my 9th grade students or my 7th grade students as my participants of my research. So I just, my blood type is A. So it's always, yeah. But in the end, I chose the 7th grade students as my participants of my research. That's because they are free, they have a lot of free time. And the 9th grade students, they are always busy with tests, especially they are going to facing the CAP, that kind of entrance exam to senior high school in Taiwan. So I don't think I can apply all of I want to do it in all my classes, so I just think, okay, maybe the 7th graders will be better. So that's why. And the other reason is because I think maybe the 7th graders are they are more lack of some basic knowledge of the topics I was going to teach. Then I can know, can I use the soft CLIL to teach them some knowledge? So that's why I choose the 7th graders. But before that, I still worry about will it work? So I just do experimental trial first. Okay. So the very beginning, I just choose 9th graders to do some tests. So I use the fortune cookies to make them to think about how they can become, they have to pretend to be fortune tellers, and they need to write down the fortunes on their own and to try to share with each other, just like this one. So this is what my students do. They need to play this kind of game, and on it, all of the fortunes, they wrote them by themselves. Then they can play this kind of easy game and to just pretend as a fortune teller. And they still have to know what the fortune teller came from. So they need to read a passage about the origin of the fortune cookies. They will know why. Actually, it's not in... We only can see the fortune cookies in the Western countries, actually. In the restaurants in the Western country. In Taiwan, you can see that. Yeah, so I just let students know then why the foreigners always thought it comes from us. No, it's not. Yeah, so that's quite interesting. So after the trial, then I can finally make up my mind to choose the 7th graders as my participants of my research. Okay, so let's go back to the previous slide. So this is the process of my research. So after I finish the trial, I just want to choose 7th graders as my participants. So I use their surnames and to make the students know changing jobs. Because as everybody knows, actually the surname is related to their jobs in the very beginning, in the past. So that's why I would like students to know why you can see some foreigners' surname is Smith, is Fisher, or fisherman, something like that. I hope the student can understand. And the second part is about animal families, food chain, and mutualism. And the next one is about climate refugees, real ideal survival bats. I hope students can create something new. And the last part is about school life, American or South Africa and Taiwan. I choose South Africa, American, and Taiwan just because at my school there are 2 foreign teachers, and one comes from South Africa and the other one comes from America. So my students can go to interview both of them, so that's why. If I have a Canadian teachers, I will ask the student to think about Canadian as well. Okay, so this is my process of my research. So let's move on. So you can see here are 4 different periods of my class. And I only have 3 students. That's because they are English gifted students. So that's why only 3 of them. But even though I have 3 students, actually their English proficiency are quite different. Just like this one, actually, she always say, I very like English, something like this. So that's why they still have need to practice a lot. And the other two students' English proficiency actually are much better. But I still have to meet the balance between them. So let's take a look about my students' worksheets. So for the first one is about changing job. So I use this passage. This passage just talk about why the Western country just create surname. Because in the very beginning, they only have given name. But when they call John, then everybody just turn back and we don't know who she is or he is. So that's why they have to create some surname. So that's why I choose the passage to make my students to read it and to share what they understand. And after that, they need to check out all of these surname, what does that mean and what kind of job they did in the past. And after that, the student need to look up the dictionary, look up all of the words in a traditional paper dictionary and online dictionary, both at the same time. They need to check and they need to think about what's different between the traditional dictionary and the online dictionary. And I just asked them to check what's the difference between jobs, occupations, vocations, and the professions. What's the difference among the 4 words? I hope they can check them out by themselves and tell everybody what they check out on the dictionary. And after they finish this part, they need to move on to think about how about the job you know right now, and maybe you can find out some job in the future. And how do you know in the future this kind of job might appear or might be created? I need to know some reasons. So students need to discuss with each other what kind of job in the past, but you can't see that anymore and why. And what kind of job you can see at present and why it's so popular right now. And what kind of job maybe it will appear in the future, and tell me why. Why do you think so? So the part of my student need to do so. So this is the first topic about the jobs. And the second topic is about animals' families. All of the topics just come from, just based on the textbooks. So that's why we pick up this kind of topics. So the second part is about animal family, and I hope students understand. Actually, animal not only they not only have food chains. Actually, they will help each other. So I choose this picture book. This picture book is my animal book. So in that, it talks about the animal families. In Chinese, we say it's 界门纲目科属种. It's a different way to say so. And how to classify the different animals in that book. Very easy way, because that book is for kids. So very easy, and they even use these kind of pictures to make students know. Actually, sometimes you will see a kind of bird will eat some food in the mouth of the crocodile. They will help each other. So I would like students to think about why they need to help each other and what happened between them. And because my students, I have 3 students, and I found this time I have an interesting finding because 2 of my students have the habit of watching Discovery with families in their daily life. So actually they know more about what I give them. So they can talk deeper and discuss about that more, and they even can help me to teach the last person, the last students. They never watch the Discovery. So they can help each other just like a mutually listen in my class. So that's really interesting. And I hope students to find the connection between the animal and the human beings. So I just move on to them to think about, I give them more articles to think deeper. So there are 3 different articles I gave them. One is hunting together for food, and another one is guarding the group, and the last one is flocking together. And the 3 different articles just come from that book. I just give the students to pick one they are interested in, and they have to read it and they share the story with one another. Then before that, they have to write down what kind of things they have already known. Because the first one is about the horse, and the second one is about the elephant or the birds. I forgot it. Anyway, students need to write down what they have already known before they read the book. And they can share after they read the book what kind of things they learn from the story. So after that, connect to their life. So they have to do this. They have to compare what kind of animals make them confused. So they can pick up some confusing animals. Of course, I have already guided them a lot of animals we were confused. Just like monkey, gorilla, ape, chimpanzee. For us, they look the same. Yeah. So I just ask the students to pick the animals they are interested in, and they have to do the Venn diagram and to share what they found. I will give them iPad so they can check out the information by themselves and write down what they found, what's the differences between the sea lions and the seals, and what's the same between the two animals. Then they have to share with each other. This is one of my students' worksheets, and the other students just pick wasps and bees. And the last student choose leopards and the jaguars, I think. So they can just pick up any animals they are interested in. So this is about the animals. And the third part is climate refugees. I will talk about this topic just because the reading in the textbook is talking about the bed. And it talks about some students or some kids even need to sleep on the street. Their bed is just a couch or just a cardboard boxes on the street. So I just asked the students to think about why they don't have a home, why they don't have a bed, just like you guys. So I just use the videos on the YouTube. It's about the country is disappearing. This kind of video, and to make my student watch the video. And before that, I just write down all of the questions to make them think about and make them to find out the answers when they were watching the videos. So students need to think about all of the questions before they watch the video, and after they watch the video, we will think about the questions together, and they even need to find out what the country is located in that video. Actually, that country is located here. That country is the first country will see the sunrise every day. So I just asked a student to think about, do you think it's fair for the people in Caribbean, to be the first community facing the climate change? Why or why not? So I just asked the student to think about these questions. I think you will feel a little bit surprised, because in the very beginning my students say, yes, it's fair because it's located there. That's our students. So that's why I just want them to think further and to think deeper. Yes, their location, the country's locations is over there, so they have to face this kind of trouble first. But is it really fair? because maybe they didn't do anything to destroy the earth. Maybe. So I just asked my students to think about, oh my God, to think about this question. And after that, I need to come back to our life as well. So I just asked us to think about, students to think about Taiwan is an island as well. So maybe someday Taiwan will be disappearing as well. So if it really happened, how can you survive? So I just asked my students to create a survival bed. So this is my students create. It's interesting, isn't it? But it's a little bit hard for the students if you don't guide them to think about that. So you need to give the students some scaffolding. So that's why I use a smartphone and a water bottle as a trial. So I just asked my students, think about that. If I push you, you have to combine the smartphone and the water bottle together for one thing. How can you design this kind of device? So they have to do this first. This is what she did. She just said a smartphone how to say that? I'll just stick to the water bottle and the water bottle. And I say, so when you are drinking, you will press the button at the same time. Then my students say, oh, it's convenient. I can drinking and talking. Okay, fine. So after that, they just come back to design their survival bed. It's interesting. So my students just give them a lot of hands, mechanical hands, you can see that. And every hand has a function. Maybe some hands help her to catch the fish. And maybe some hands help her to give the directions. So you can see the students' imagination is amazing, I have to say so. But I hope this kind of device can be practical. So that's why I took my students to interview 4 different teachers, experts, to give them some suggestions. So one is the Scout teacher. So the Scout teacher will tell my students, I don't think it's possible because at night you can't see anything. How can you make your survival be seen by others, or you will hit together? All right, and another one is a physics teacher. And he just asked my student, how can you make your boat float on the sea? And if there will be a typhoon, how can you do? How can you help yourself? So my students just think about, then we will have a very, very strong glasses to cover us. Okay, they will think about this. And the last one is an art teacher. Art teacher, that's because I think beauty is still very important. They need to make their survival bed is beautiful. So that's why. And the last one is, of course, me. So I always give my students the highest scores because I want to encourage them. They did it. Okay, so this is about the bed. And the last one is about our school life. I haven't finished this part actually, but I think this one is really interesting part because my students need to interview the teachers from New York, and the other teacher comes from South Africa. So they need to think about the question first. Of course, because before they came up with all of these questions, I will guide them to think about, do you know actually there are a lot of different systems in different school in different countries. So I still give them to read some picture books and watch some videos on the YouTube about other schools in other countries. Then they will find quite different. So this is what the questions my students ask. Just like, do you like your school? It's easy question because they're only 7th graders. And does your school have a gym? Or do you have, what kind of food, what kind of lunch did you eat when you were junior high school students? My students just asked them these kind of questions. Then they found actually in other countries, they don't have any nap time. And they don't have cleaning time. Sometimes they even don't have break time. They just take the lessons from the 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock and then have a lunch for 1 hour and keep going on. And go home by 2:30 p.m. or 3 p.m. So quite different. And my students are, wow, so amazing. So they will know, and they still have to think about then what kind of system you think is good. We need to change to copy them or to learn from them. So I just ask the students to think about this. Okay, it's okay. It's not important at all, so just give it. Okay, so I just use the monthly test to make sure that my students' English proficiency, and I think is okay because this second monthly test was designed by me, so I think it's okay. And the worksheets you just saw. Can I just give it? Okay, so this is my reflection. I still have some wonders and doubts from this, from my action research, because the wonders is before I give the students some lessons, I need to prepare myself very well. So actually, I learn a lot of knowledge in different domains. I think I really learn a lot. And about doubts is about, I found from my students, if the students with basic knowledge of the topic I'm going to teach, then they will get involved very quickly and even can think about further. So I think if the students with basic knowledge, more basic knowledge, then they can learn more and they can spend more time focusing on language use. So I think that when the teachers want to choose the topic, what kind of topic students have already known a little bit, I think that should be taken. We should take it into account. It's very important. And of course, the games at SFU. I have to say, learning is not always only in the classroom. Sometimes we can learn more outside the classroom. So the field trip, the school visits, I just appreciate all of the experience. I really learn a lot. But I just don't have time to say what I learned. So, but you can see that here is a lot of pictures. When I pick up the pictures, I really want to go back to Canada and to learn it again. So really, thank you so much. And the last part I want to say is about, this is the CAP of 2018, last year. The CAP just tested students this question. And it's amazing, I just saw this beautiful thing in Victoria, in Canada. So it's really the best example of competency for me. Yeah, thank you so much.